We just wing it out here, baby.
We wing it. What's up, everybody? It's Big Jack and Glenn back with another Bears preview video. Last week, the Bears go up to Minnesota. They fall just short, but they did show some stuff out there. We like to see it, especially in the second half. First half was a little ugly. Defense couldn't stop anything. Made some necessary adjustments. Looked better in the second half. One of my keys almost came true last week with the trickeration, the little onside kick attempt. And then the running game was so-so. I'd almost say some of the passing stuff was more of like an extension of the running game, which you like to see as well. Some short throws to Montgomery where he's taking them for 10, 15, 20-yard gains. And then the defense wasn't great in the first half, like I said. Stronger in the second half. No Jalen Johnson, I think, is hurting them big time, especially against a top receiver duo like Jefferson and Thielen. Jack, how'd you feel about last week's game?
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right about what you said. The trickeration, especially, I was dying when they tried to pull the onside kick. That was good stuff. And honestly, it worked. It didn't work in the sense that obviously Minnesota got it, but they ended up. I don't know. I can't remember if it was when they blocked. I think they blocked the field goal. They either blocked that field goal or missed. But I think it was when it got blocked. Either way, Bears ended up with great field position, got it right back. So it didn't work directly, but they ended up stopping them and getting the ball. So it worked out all right. Little trickeration. You got to throw it in there from time to time, especially on the road when you're a big dog like that.
Absolutely.
I like the way they battled back, showed they played through some adversity. You know, I was picked the Vikings last week, so I was on them 7.5. Bears covered by the chair. Um, but I loved what I saw for the most part. The only thing that is still concerning to me is that they were down 21-3, and that's when things started to look good offensively. That's when Justin Fields just was letting it loose. And I think it's one of those things when, you feel like you got nothing to lose, right? You were
Right.
down big. There's not a lot of pressure on the situation. Everyone was kind of thinking this one's over. And, you're able to go out and kind of do your thing a little bit, not think so much, which is what we've been saying about what he needs to do to begin with. I just hope that he can kind of carry that over, as the season progresses, even in situations where, first quarter and it's still a tie ball game, he's not tightening up, but we'll see how that plays itself out. Overall, tough L. Still could have got the job done, or at least had a chance if they don't have that strip at the end. But some positive takeaways for sure going into week 5 or
Yeah,
week 6 rather.
week 6. So some positive things for sure. Hopefully, like you said, keep building on them. If you guys aren't familiar with the channel, we kind of switch back and forth from week to week who's going to come up with the keys to victory. Last week were my keys. This week are Big Jack's. Thursday Night Football, home versus the Commanders. Jack, what's key number 1?
Key number 1 is going to be something you touched on sort of when you mentioned the defense and how they played well in the second half. Defense has been playing well in the second half all year. I think that touchdown they gave up on that million play drive where the Vikings kind of, put it on ice at the end there. That was the first touchdown they've given up in the second half all season. But key for this week is you got to come out the gates better. Need to play better defensively early on. Hopefully you have a better game plan where you don't even need to make the adjustments. But the adjustments that have been made at halftime have been excellent. They're clearly working. But if the adjustments do need to be made, we need to implement them sooner. I don't know if it's a situation where Eberflus technically isn't calling the defense, so maybe he just needs to get his hand on things a little bit more. I like the fact that he's not calling the defense. I like the fact that he's more in that head coach role. That's what everyone always killed
Yep.
Nagy for, is that he was just buried in his, Denny's menu over there. But I like that, they've made the adjustments. I just need them to make them sooner and, come out the gates a little hotter. Don't put yourself down early.
Couldn't agree more. Defense looked spectacular in the second half all season. Hopefully they start out a little bit better. And against the struggling Washington team, uh, Ron Rivera going as far as this week is saying the quarterback's their biggest problem. you'd like to, you'd like to think that the defense can start out a little bit stronger, maybe have a good showing. I think they're like 23rd in the NFL overall right now, 24, something in that range. I'd like to see them get back to closer to middle of the pack. I know it's a little bit of a rebuild, but we still got some guys. If Jalen Johnson gets healthy, the secondary continues to mature a little bit. I'd like to see us get closer to 15, 16 range. But I like your key number one. What's your key number two?
Yeah, jumping right back into it. Key number two, I'm going to go with the individual player, kind of similar to what I did a couple weeks ago with Darnell Mooney. This week, I'm going to say key number two is Bayless Jones Jr.
Oh,
I
wow.
know it's, and I'm not so much saying him in the special teams. I know that's, kind of supposed to be his forte, even though he had that horrendous fumble we don't need to get into. But they still drafted him as a wide receiver in the third round. That was the one guy that polls identified saying, hey, this is a wide receiver. He's gotten 3 offensive snaps so far. I know that it has a lot to do with the injury situation. He's still just kind of working himself back in. Maybe he hasn't even had the opportunity to prove what he can do at practice quite yet. But he's, theoretically should be a number two guy behind Darnell Mooney. You spent a pretty good draft pick on him. I need to at least see him on the field. I know last week people will say, well, he did make, he had that pass, he had that touchdown, that first catch he had on that little shovel pass. Great, but I need more of it. If he can do stuff like that, that's awesome. I like utilizing him in those roles as a different threat in the red zone, but I need to see a little bit more of it, more snaps out of him, get him on the field, and see what we can do with the young man.
Absolutely. I'd love to see him show us that there's a reason he was picked in the third round. Darnell Mooney was a fifth round guy, fourth round guy, fourth or fifth round guy, and his rookie year he was already showing us that he had some pop to him. He had something going for him. So yeah, I'd love to see Bayless, who, like you said, Poles identified as a playmaker, and all we heard about him was that he was a playmaker. Let's see it.
Yep. All right. Third and final key, Thursday night game, short week for both teams. I'm a Riverboat Ron, obviously a veteran coach, been doing it for quite a while. He's familiar with Chicago, of course. It's going to be kind of a homecoming for him. He'll be comfortable at Soldier Field. Eberflus never really been on a short week before as a head coach. It's going to be different for him and his staff. But I'm going to say this third key, Bears are 2-0 at home. I got to bring the home crowd into it, get fired up on a Thursday night. Everyone get out there early if they can, start letting it rip, be rowdy in Soldier Field. The Washington football team is not good, or I guess not the football team anymore, the Commanders. They're not good. They're horrible right now. 1-4. They've had a lot of bad losses, but they can, like anybody else in the NFL, it can be any given Sunday, like they say. So Thursday night at home, crowd bring the noise, get them rattled, get Wentz to turn the ball over, get some of the young players to make some mistakes, take advantage of those mistakes, keep defending home field, move on to 3-0 at home, 3-3 on the season, give yourself a nice extended break, and I feel like we're in a pretty good spot if we can come out of there with a W.
Yeah, I mean, if we're 3-3, granted, with two of our wins over maybe two of the worst teams in the NFL and the Commanders and the Texans, um, obviously the surprise winner over the Niners. If we're sitting here at 3-3, I think that's all a lot of Bears fans could have asked for going into the season. And more importantly, if it's 3-3, looking well coached, maybe Justin Fields has another solid performance. If you want to call last week a solid performance, I think I personally would. If we get another solid performance out of Fields, we see the secondary playing well. Maybe Roquan plays a little bit better this week than he did last week. We see some key pieces and some key question marks start coming to life. I think you could be pretty happy as a Bears fan after 6 weeks.
Yeah, no, you shouted out Roquan as saying hopefully he could play a little better. I mean, Robert Quinn,
Yeah.
my goodness, you can't be setting records with 18 and a half sacks or 18 sacks, whatever it was last year, and then have one. I don't, it just doesn't make sense. Maybe he's not motivated. I know there was some rumblings that he kind of wanted out during the offseason when it appeared that, the Bears were sort of dumping a lot of guys, but I mean, you're still under contract. You're still a captain on that team. You got to go out and make some plays. There's just no way you can have that type of a drop off without some sort of injury or something.
Right.
So we need something more out of him and that defensive line in general. Got to get home, get some pressure on Wentz, and put him in the dirt.
Amen, brother. One last thing that I'm going to be looking at, because I always look at it, offensive line. Lucas Patrick, I'm not loving what I'm seeing out of you. Sam Mustipher, I don't know how you're still a starter. I That left guard center position with Whitehair out is killing us. Braxton Jones is also getting hurt, in my opinion, because of the not having Whitehair next to him. Um, Offensive line, step up, play some good football, protect that quarterback, give him a fucking fighting chance.
Yeah, no, I think it's, obviously the coaches are there every day. There's a reason they're going with the rotation they are. But part of me thinks just put Lucas Patrick in at center. That's what you paid him to be. Kick someone else to left guard. I don't know exactly who the best fit is, which is why I just said, maybe there is no one else they're comfortable with. So that's kind of why they're doing it. But Lucas Patrick's been bad in that spot. Put him under center, kick someone else over there. And, hopefully that solidifies things a little better because 100% right. That has been a glaring weak spot.
I didn't realize Whitehair was so good, but it's been pretty ugly without him gone. All right. I'll be in the building, rocking my fucking face off. Looking forward to it. Bears, let's go. Let's get to 3-3. Let's get back here next week, week 7, talking about keys to getting the Bears to an above a 500 record. That'd be fucking ideal. Anyways,
Amen, baby.
like and subscribe if you're new here. Love y'all. Jack.
Bears.